Hey everybody, here's another video for you. This one is on chapter 1, focusing your topic. So if you see me looking down, I'm just checking out the chapter. I want to make sure I use the right vocabulary so it matches up with what you're looking at. So focusing your topic. So this is, okay, I've figured out my topic, right? I've got this whole list of questions and things that I'm going to research and try to find out about this topic. Once I start doing that, how do I narrow my focus, or how do I frame my essay? And that's another way to think about it, is framing your essay. So I'm looking in the book. There's a couple things that are helpful for you. So we've got page 42. Well, kind of backwards for you, isn't it? Page 42, table 1.2 gives you a list of inquiry questions. So these are kind of like the overall questions, but really they help with the focusing too. So policy, hypothesis, relationship, interpretation, value, claim, all of those are ways to kind of think about your essay. You know, are you going to explore the relationship between this thing and that thing? Are you going to talk about a policy question, meaning something that the government should do, or as a society we should put an effort to make something happen? So that's the starting point for how to focus your essay. The other place to look for ideas is on page 43 in the box there. It talks about methods for focusing your paper, and he gives an example there. But I just like some of these ideas, right? So you've got your question, and then he mentions things like time. You know, are you going to talk about things from a historical perspective, or how things have changed over time, or what we should do over a certain period of time in the future? A person, you could be focusing on a particular researcher or a particular figure in history, you know, or it could be an organization or a company too, a charity, something like that you're going to focus on specifically. You can also look under place, right? So maybe you're writing about a certain place where lots of things have happened with this issue or with this topic, or just researching a place in the world. And the last one there is a story. Now, to be honest, the story part I think is great to have in any essay. Sometimes you might have just short little stories. In fact, you always want to try to include some stories in your essay, because that's what pulls people in, right? People are always interested in a story. But maybe your whole essay is one big story about something that happened and what it means and why it's important. And then the other area to look at, just last one, is on page 44 there. He talks about the possible purposes for a research essay, and he mentions exploring and arguing. You get to pick. And you might not pick yet. You might not know what you're going to do in the end. Maybe you start with explore, but then in the end you end up doing argument. An explore essay is like an informational essay. So it's more about, like, you know, telling us the story of your research and what you found and what's this information. And maybe you've got a little bit of an argument to it, but the focus is more about, like, let's explore this topic and find out what we can find out about it. An argument essay is more focused on the argument. I mean, again, everything's an argument to some extent, but an argument essay is truly like, we need to do this, or we need to change this, or this needs to happen, or this is wrong and this is right. Actually making a specific argument about something. And again, you may not know yet where your essay is going to go. You know, it may be that as you research, you realize that you're not sure what the right solution is, that there's a couple different ideas out there for something that might work. Or you are very sure that this one idea is what you want to go with. But even if you're sure right now, like even if you're like, okay, I'm going to do this topic and I'm pretty sure I believe X, I encourage you to keep an open mind. You might be surprised at what you find. And the best way to argue something is to be open to what the other side says on a real level, because that's going to make your argument stronger. So that's my biggest recommendation for you, is just to say, all right, even if I already have an idea of what I think about something, then I'm going to be open to other ideas. My last word of advice: no matter what topic you pick something that you know a little bit about, but not a lot about. Because it's going to be really boring to write about something that you already know a ton about. It's going to be hard to find good research then, because you're going to feel like you know a lot of stuff. Pick something that, again, you've maybe just enough to know that you're kind of curious about it, but not enough that you feel like you could have a conversation. So that's your aim. That's my metaphor for this. That's your aim. And actually, Ballinger talks about this too. Like, you're not going to be at a point at the end of this essay where you could talk to a scientist about this topic, someone who's done research in the area, and have a real, discussion with them. But you should be able to have a 20-minute conversation at dinner with someone who isn't that familiar with the topic and be able to really converse about it and make a strong point about it. Or maybe even have a conversation with another person who's done some research in this area but isn't necessarily an expert either, right? You're an expert compared to someone who doesn't know anything, but not necessarily an expert compared to someone who's been studying it for 20 years. So we're kind of aiming in the middle there. So I don't expect that at the end of this you're going to know every bit of information about it, but you should know quite a bit. You should know a lot more than most people off the street would know. All right, I hope that helps. I'll just give you some ideas, ways to focus your topic, ways to think about it. Please email me with any questions. It's the best way to reach me, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.